all alike. So why is there war? Why do we fight? There's one sea, one sky, one earth. So you and I gotta learn to live together. When one hurts, when one needs, we all gotta learn to live together. Peace, alright. Isn't it time to stop time? Isn't it time to stop crying? Stop the fighting and the hate. We gotta make peace before it's too late. There's one sea, one sky, one earth. So you and I gotta learn to live together. When one hurts, when one needs, we always gotta learn to live together. Peace, in peace, in peace, alright. Everyone lives, everyone dies. Everyone loves, everyone cries. Round the world we're all alike. So why is there war? Why do we fight? There's one sea, one sky, one earth. So you and I gotta learn to live together. When one hurts, when one needs, we always gotta learn to live together. Peace, alright. Isn't it time to stop time? Isn't it time to stop crying? Stop the fighting and the hate. We gotta make peace before it's too late. There's one sea, one sky, one earth. So you and I gotta learn to live together. When one hurts, when one needs, we always gotta learn to live together. Follow that. We are here. We are live. Thank you guys for joining me in the Facebook chat room. And thank you for joining me on my other show, Between Two Worlds. Yeah, guys, we're here. And you are seeing me on two screens. I'm actually using Facebook Live as well. I'm also using YouTube because, well, let's put it this way. Facebook don't like too many things that I talk about, especially extraterrestrials or UFOs. They are very sensitive about this. So last time I talked about UFOs, I even put some pictures of UFOs in there, and they gave me a warning. I'm going like, really? Well, like, they, as far as I think, they think that we're that. I don't know. Maybe they think that we're conspiracy theorists, or maybe they are part of the alien technical whatever have you. So, anyways, we're here. So, I have a good friend I have known for a long time, and I decided to bring him on tonight because he's very important to us in this work. And his name is Jonny Enoch. And before we go any further, we got something really great coming up, folks, and it's actually going to be happening. Jonny will be talking about, because actually he's one of the directors of this committee, but he'll be going. This is going to be the 3rd annual Laughlin UFO Mega Conference, and it'll be up in Laughlin, Nevada, and they're going to have a lot of speakers there. And Jonny Enoch himself will also be one of the speakers, besides being a director. This man here is actually from this territory where I am up in British Columbia. And what he's doing right now is he's been busy sitting down, doing a lot of writing, probably a lot of writing his manuscripts as well as his books, as well as there's so many things he's going to be doing. But I thought it'd be important tonight because we have been getting a lot of, I am getting a lot of calls regarding people sending me all kinds of videos of UFOs exposing themselves so much now all over Canada, as well as the United States and across the world. The major part of it as well is that they're actually doing it now in Montreal and British Columbia. You're seeing 3 or 4 UFOs levitating above the city, and they're not even hiding anymore. They're not hiding anymore at all. They're basically saying, here we are, and you see me. So that's what's going on right now. So I would like to no further now. I don't want to wait any longer. Now we're going to get Jonny Enoch in. Are you there, Jonny?
I am, Derek. Thanks so much for having me on your show. It's always great to be here with you.
Yeah. So I've known, like, you and I have known each other for a long, long time. And, what I've been trying to do, and what I want to do really, is talk about, number one, let's talk about the UFO summit that you're going to be doing this coming June, I believe.
Yeah, and let me just say, Derek, thank you so much for the kind words that you said at the beginning of your show. You know, I have an absolute love and appreciation for you and all that you do. And last year, you came to the UFO MegaCon and you rocked the house. I mean, people loved what you had to say. You not only came up there and you told your story about your incredible contact experiences that you had with Ziel and these 9-foot beings that took you up through that Orion's belt, no doubt up there through Mentaka or one of those sort of stargates that are up there. But, you know, I remember, I think it was Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star that you sang. You brought the energy up and you were drumming, and people just thought it was so great how you did it.
Yeah.
So it would have been great to have you back out there this year. So hopefully when the restrictions are lifted next year, you'll get out there and you'll rock not only the house on these, but you'll be coming out to more UFO conferences again, because people need you. They need to hear you.
Well, I appreciate it. Yeah, I actually had a lot of fun being down there. I mean, what can I say? I was there for 6 days. You guys there for 8 days. So I did miss our good friend down there doing his presentation because he received his award. And
Jordan Maxwell.
Yeah, Jordan Maxwell. And I missed Danny Brinkley by just a hair because he came in the next day, and I was like, I was gone before that. I went, so.
It's funny you should say that. I was just looking at a picture of you and Jordan Maxwell together from that event. It just popped up in my Facebook memories not too long ago there, and I was looking at that and I was going, what a great event. Then there was, I was looking at another picture, it popped up with you and I walking outside of the hotel there at the Aquarius, And I want to thank you so much for not only, sharing the love here, but telling people about this event. As you know, I really can't take credit for it. I got asked on as a director, and that was wonderful. I was so grateful to be a part of this wonderful, wonderful event. But Bob Brown and Gord, who he works with, Bob Brown really is the godfather of ufology and all these areas, and he put it together. And I know he absolutely loved you, and he loved what you had to say. And that's the one thing about these events. I'm really hoping we can get back out there and do more of them, because they really bring our community together.
Yeah, it does. And one thing I did enjoy doing was having to meet a lot of people like myself. I mean, normally when you go to a conference, you feel like you're just the observer. You're just going around, you're watching people. As soon as I got there, for some reason, I've already developed a reputation, I think, because of you. Because as soon as I got there, like, oh, Derrick, and I got the hugs, and I got the, like, welcome. I was like pulled right in, like I was part of the whole community. I never felt like I was left out. And that's one thing that whenever you go to a conference, folks, sometimes if you ever become whether a speaker or just watching, everyone's so friendly. And that's what I liked about it. Everyone's so friendly. And, there was not one person that ever got chased away or felt out of place. They pretty well all fit in. Even the people that came in as just the guests that are wanting to see each presentation, which I thought was fabulous because you have a choice. And it was an all day, almost all night, because you start in the morning and you're going on until 8, 9 o'clock at night. Some people are still going on even longer, so it depends. But I mean, it was fun because and the thing is that what I enjoyed about the subjects, everyone had a different story. Not hardly any one person had the same story regarding their experience or their profession or, what would you say? Like yourself, Johnny, you were there, you spoke to us, you were even questioning us. Like I even remember one time, one of our good friends actually was sick that weekend. She was supposed to be being a speaker.
Barbara Lamb,
and she took ill. So then you guys suddenly decided to do a panel.
Yeah, no, there was a great panel, and I remember you were on the panel.
Yep.
Yeah, so I remember that. Now it's coming back to me. We had 2 panels. We had an experiencers panel. So I remember it was, you were there. I want to say, was it Hanabi Strongbeer, Elizabeth April? Who else was on that panel? That was the experience.
There was a husband and wife team that were trans channelers.
That's right. Okay, so that was Malgosia, Duzak, and Dale.
Yeah.
I believe that worked together as well.
Yeah. So, I mean, when I was sitting in the chair, I think I was one of the only guys that looked like he was actually falling asleep, but it wasn't.
You were just relaxed.
I was relaxed. I was enjoying the night. I was quiet and watching everybody doing their talk. And I thought, no, I'm going to talk now. So, it was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it.
You did a great job. And you know what? I like it that you also brought out the story about your dear friend, that is one of the most interesting extraterrestrial UFO stories that people can hear about, is Shirley Clan Carr, the one that you always talk about with the bees.
Shirley was, I still think about her a lot. And I think because anytime you start thinking about someone, that means that there's a reason for it to happen. But Shirley herself, when you actually have an experience with her, your life changes. I thought I was the only one in my work that makes me, unique or different where I was living in British Columbia here or in Canada. But when I met Shirley, I felt like I'm not the only person there, and we were close. Like, she was like a grandma to me, like she was great knowledge. But both her and we bounced off each other, so to speak. Like, she understood what I went through and I understood what she went through. Very similar type of meeting our extraterrestrial friends at the beginning. And that's the reason why we related. But I think the most unlikely thing you'll ever experience in your life, folks, is when she decided to freeze the room. When you hear the bees, like I can hear bees in a beehive, and if you ever had that experience, I thought there really was bees in the building. There was like everybody. This was actually a UFO conference, so she was a speaker, and I'm sitting in the second row watching her talking, and all of a sudden I can hear bees. I'm looking around, I can see bees. All of a sudden, everybody froze. Nobody, like as if it's pause, and I'm sitting there going, looking around, like, okay, what's going on? Like, how come everybody's like looking around, or how come I'm looking? I'm the only one looking around. Nobody's moving. Everybody's just frozen, and. And I thought, okay, I'm looking around, and then I look up and I see Shirley on the stage. And then she stopped, looked at me, and she says, "Are you Derrick?" And I said, "Yeah." And like, there's no way I would know this woman. And she said, "I need to see you right after this is over." She froze the damn room because of me, right? So I want to see you after the show. So I said, "Okay, sure." And then she went, and everybody unfroze. Now you tell me how that worked out. That's why, even to this day, she had the ability, the abilities they gave her, she had that ability. She froze time.
Derrick, do you think she was one of them, or do you think they just gave her upgrades?
I think Shirley was upgraded. I think she was, the amount of channeling and stuff that she had with them, like she was, even right to her last day of her life. Her daughter said that she was actually channeling them before she crossed over. And they told her that they'll come and get the plates, not to worry about it. Because I was thinking to myself, well, who's going to take care of the plates? Maybe they'll need help. So I was going to help her, So I called her daughter up and asked her if she needs help for someone to take care of her plates. And she says, "No, don't worry about it. Mom says they came down. They already got them." You're kidding. Like, yeah, they already got them, picking them up and gone. And yet her mother had to hide them. And not in the house. They were hidden outdoors. That's why no one ever knew where they were. She had a very special place for them.
Now, when she means they, she's talking about the ETs.
Yes. Yeah. They were very, very, she talked to them, and then she crossed over. She was 94, and she asked me how long she'll live till. And I said, "You'll be 100." And she would have been 100, but something happened. I'm not sure what it was. Somebody interfered with her journey, and like her life, basically it got shortened sooner than it was supposed to be, because she was supposed to pass 100, and because that's what they told me. But apparently something happened. I'm not sure what it was, but anyways, when Shirley crossed over, she did not cross over into, as most people say, cross over in through heaven. She went through heaven, and then she went to the planet, because they promised her that they would take her with them.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And I mean, it's amazing the story that you tell with her when you talk about her. By the way, I was going to say, Derrick, speaking of which, contactees, in your chat for this video, I just noticed you have a couple of people that are talking about, your broadcast here. But one of the guys that was at the Laughlin conference, his name was Mick Flair, and I know he's close to Malgosia and Dale, and I know he knows them well. Hello out there, Mick, but it's great. He said, "Great to see you together again. Cheers to you both."
Yeah.
So it's great to see people that were at that event with us.
Yeah. Actually, funny thing is, Mick, when we met each other at the conference, and then when I came back here, and every time I do my shows, Mick comes in and calls in once in a while. We start talking up some stuff during my program, so it's nice to see him again.
Yeah, no, he's great. I remember him. He had great energy.
Yeah, we always talk about, I like talking about what we always do. I've been out of the loop for UFO stuff, and the reason why I've been not out of the loop, sharing it with other people. I mean, I would say about a year ago, I was talking about it a lot. UFO visitors, they're coming down to visit us, which they have. They have big time. They've been out here a lot. By the way, if you guys are noticing in the background of behind me, I'm getting a lot of flashes from spirit, because the background it's flashing me. That means their presence are in the room. Every time Jonny and I are talking, they know us well, and so you'll start seeing more movement of orbs and light flashing behind me, so it's very normal.
And Derek, people should know that happens to you at your place too. When I've been over there visiting you, you got all kinds of activity buzzing around your place.
Big time. Yeah. Johnny knows. Anyways, let's talk about your who's going to be at the conference now for this coming year, June.
Oh, Derek, thanks so much for asking, first of all, again. And secondly, there's a lot of great people that are coming to this conference. I just have to pull up the list, but I can tell you off the top of my head, I know that we are going to have at the conference Richard Dolan, who, of course, is one of those, old school, yet, giants in this field that has a lot of great information and never, stays off the track of focus with looking at ufology and everything. And I know I've discussed you on Richard's show, actually.
Oh, okay.
Disclosure. But with that being said, we also have, let's see who we have. We have a lot of good folks. We have JP, no, not JP Hague, he was there last year. We have with us Harry Challenger and Colin Wolford.
Okay.
We have with us Jimmy Church coming, who is going to be talking all about, his experiences as well as hosting the panels that we have there. Have you followed Dolan's work before on the UFO stuff?
Years ago. I remember Dolan started coming out with stuff. I mean, recently, I know I was talking to one of the girls that Dolan married, one of the Canadian girls from this area.
Yes.
Yeah.
Tracy.
Say again?
Tracy is her name.
Yeah, Tracy. Yeah. She lived in this area. Yeah, they fell in love. He married a Canadian.
That's how it always works.
Yeah.
There is. I don't know why I'm having a hard time bringing up the list right now, but there's a lot of great people coming there this year, and I'm just trying to pull it up again. But as far as that, who else do we have? I'm just trying to think who else we have confirmed. We have with us coming, and the list over at Laughlin UFO Mega Conference. Here it is. It's coming up.
Yeah.
Okay, finally. I can't believe this. I mean, we've gone through so many names the last little bit. Of course, we have Barbara Lamb, who we were discussing. And
so she'll be able to make it this year. This time, she won't be sick.
Last year, I mean, almost everybody caught this COVID kind of stuff that was floating around at that time, around March last year. And everybody flew through it. And then, all of a sudden, we hear about people developing immunity and stuff like that in the air. But what did you take away from last year? Who was your favorite speaker?
You, one of them.
You were my favorite.
No, I loved your presentation. Your presentations have always been good. Oh my God, there's like 4 or 5 of them that I really did enjoy. My mind's not on those guys right now.
Okay, I got. By the way, sorry for the delay, everyone. I got the list now. Finally, I got the list of this year's speakers, because this year's speakers were blending in my mind with last year's speakers, and I was starting to put them together. I was like, wait a second, was there JP Hague there, or was he this year? So yeah, Derek, very exciting. The people that we have coming. Of course, how could I forget? We have Billy Carson coming. I'm super excited about that. He's from Forbidden Knowledge News. We have JJ Ainsworth, Sarah Adams. We have, as I mentioned, Harry Challenger. He's coming in from England at the Flying Saucer Review. He's going to be talking about a lot of interesting stuff, all the stuff the Nazis were hiding. We have Ronnie Dawson. We have Preston Dennett, who, his work is incredible with, that he's done in this sort of research, but he's going to be sharing his experiences that he's had with multidimensional beings and encounters, which is really incredible.
Yeah.
We have Katie Grabowski, Dr. Melinda Greer. This is a woman who's coming out for the first time to talk about her experiences outside of her professional field where she's involved. She's talking about her experiences as an ET contactee. Of course, we have Dr. Bruce Goldberg, who is like Barbara Lamb. He does hypnotherapy and he works with people in these sort of modalities. But there's another lady named Ruth Ann Friend. Have you heard of her before, Derek?
Ruth Ann Friend. Not to see her face to know it. Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah, so she's someone that you should probably talk to. She is sort of like I would say, a story of a Shirley Klein Carr sort of story. It's almost very parallel. That she had the experiences with these ETs, and then after her experiences, she had these certain abilities that were unlocked where she can kind of do things with the audience and with people when she's before them, and like be able to see things in them and around them. And she's kind of got that sort of same sort of reputation that you would say a Shirley would. So it's going to be very interesting to hear her message for certain. But that would be great for maybe if you'd have her on your show sometime. We have Ray Hernandez. We have James Trey Hudson, James Keenan, Ronald Kinsella, and Philip Kinsella coming from the UK. N.K. Kronda, she's bringing all kinds of ufology cases from a MUFON sort of perspective. We have Helene Lane, Kevin Lane, Robert Maxim, and many of you will know these names. You'll know what they're all about, what their research, their work is fantastic. Dwayne Olinger. We also have Mike Ricksecker, who I believe you might be familiar with already. Mike Ricksecker is amazing. He's on the Travel Channel, the Alaska Triangle.
Yeah.
And he's fantastic, and he's done all kinds of work on shadow beings and shadow people, and he's going to be telling us how they relate to the ETs. We have Nicole Sakic. The great Danny Sheehan will be there. We have Sean Stone. He's Oliver Stone's son, in case you guys don't know who he is. He's great, and he's done a new documentary on the hidden controllers. He's talking about the Archons, and he'll be premiering this at the event, along with a lot of other great stuff. We have Paul Stonewell, Michael Telstar, who's from Canada. He's going to be doing a magic show for everyone on some of the nights.
Didn't you have Michael Telstar last year?
He was supposed to be there. I don't think he was able to get there in the end.
Yeah. I remember he was supposed to come down, and but I think I think I did see him doing a performance somewhere. His magic is a little crazy.
Yeah, no, so it's great that on the nights that after you've seen a day of ufology, you know, we have a magic show, we have dinners, we have banquets. You know, of course, this is all going to be done with social distancing, and people can have their separate tables. All that fun stuff. People love that, you know, everything will be safe and all that sort of good stuff that we talk about. But we have Dr. Raul Belvedere. We have Darcy Weir, who's made these great documentaries and research. It's incredible. Yeah. People are talking about his work a lot these days. Colin Wolford, who we mentioned, who's going to be breaking down all the hidden extraterrestrial disclosure that's been put into the Star Wars franchise by George Lucas. And of course, we have Michaelis Sedona there, Sid Goldberg, the Emmy Award-winning producer, and Jimmy Church. It's going to be an amazing event. And if you guys go onto the www.laughlinUFOmegaconference.com website, you can get your tickets and you can attend. And I would recommend coming there in person. It's going to be great. So far, we're allowed to have 250 tickets sold, but the state of Nevada is expected to lift that as we move closer to June. So we're looking forward to seeing all of you there.
Yeah, my prediction, folks, is that by the end of May, there won't be any masks. They're not going to be no more 6 feet apart. That'll all be done. It's going to be let's put it this way. By May or mid-May, it's going to be a very exciting month for everyone.
Very exciting.
That's, I will say, across the whole world. And we'll get our world back together again, so to speak. We'll get our lives back the way it should be. So right now, everyone's trying to, adjust to their lifestyle right now. But the thing is, that's the reason why I wanted to get Jonny on, because I've had so many people call me, ask me, are the extraterrestrials have anything to do with this COVID thing or the big C? And I thought, you know what? I would say to a point, maybe to a point.
I can say,
you know, to a point. There are some that are manipulative, that are part of it, but they're in the background. They're not seen. And But yet, there are other people out there to this day that are talking about them all the time. And they bring them in to tell the story. They're saying, well, this is reptilian, or this is what has been talked about. Like David Icke, for example, talked about this for the longest time. And I know Icke has been invited to a lot of UFO conferences, which is quite interesting. Again, I remember last year where our good friend Jordan Maxwell was talking about the representations of some of the symbols that he talked about and at the conference. And I remember this one woman that was there, one of the observers, I guess to say, and she come out, and I was in the front watching his presentation. She came out and she was so angry. How dare he, she says. He's making this all up. This will never happen. And I'm sitting there going like, if you don't want to listen to it, don't hang around. If you want to leave, leave. You don't have to listen to it. About half the stuff that Jordan talked about, it happened. 2020. Folks, that's what this whole thing was about. This was trying to show everybody, and symbolically, this actually happened. But do you think they wanted to hear that? No. But he already was showing you this was going to come up. These are symbolisms. These are going to happen. These representations thereof. That's why Jordan never backed down. And, sure, he's 81 now, I think. He's in his 80s. But he hasn't. Jordan is still not stepping down. He already knows the truth. And he keeps on sharing that all the time. He keeps telling everybody what's really going on out there. But I found it interesting when I watched it and I'm listening to it, and then all of a sudden, after I get home, and then this whole thing started happening within a matter of a few more months, and I'm thinking, the first thing in my mind was Jordan Maxwell. He predicted this. This was predicted over 60 years ago. 60 years ago. Plus years, because he's been following this all through the years, trying to tell the people, here's what's really happening, guys. Open your eyes and listen. Those symbolisms have a purpose, and that's just to see the truth. And he was trying to show you the truth. And that's why we have these UFO conferences as well, because the people that are actually, some of these people that are at these conferences will be talking about very similar things that are going on in this world. Number one, Jimmy Church, he has his radio program, just like Coast to Coast AM. He's been going on for a lot of years, telling his shows what's going on, whether it's conspiracy, you name it, whatever it is. The fact is, he talks about it. And there's many others that are actually on the program that share the same views. Whether you agree or disagree, I'm not looking for a yeses or nos. What I'm sharing with you is why I brought Jonny on, is because this UFO summit, folks, is very, very important. When Jonny asked me last year, February 2020, asked me to come down to this conference. This is before the COVID started. I went down there, and to me, it was an eye-opener, because I didn't realize how important it was, because here in Canada, we don't have as much receptive to the public. The public somehow have that view of a horse with blinders. They only want to see what they think they want to see, or they only want to see what someone tells them to have to see. In the United States or other parts of the world, they're open like this. There's no blinders. They'll talk about it. They'll share it in public, whatever it's social networking, you name it. And then they'll either call you a conspiracy theorist, or they'll say, oh my God, I can't believe it. But if you experience it yourself once in your life, whether it is an intervention, taken on the ship, or they come visit you in your dreams, your visions, There's always different forms of visitations that these extraterrestrial beings will come to, and they're come in different forms, different sizes. And after I did this conference, I went home and I thought to myself, I'm going to make some bolo ties. And that's what I did. I beaded this bolo tie. It's all in beadwork to acknowledge, not because of the green people, that's just the symbolism of it, but it represents to me that I've already have been through this, and let people know that I'm a believer, because I've always have been a believer, and I've always felt it was important. And with Jonny, you know, your stuff, your work in metaphysics, you're in deep depth of it. Plus, you're also a guy that's been interviewed, or actually has been asked to come on to do two or three TV shows series. Right now, we're part of the Alaska Paranormal, and another program which is Gaia, and you got a few more coming up. So, are you able to share some of that with our viewers and listeners?
Absolutely, Derrick, and it's so nice of you to ask me about the programs. I'm mentioning it because I want to say that you're also doing all kinds of shows and programs and radios and everything. Every time I talk to you, you're involved in a new and different area, whether it's teaching, it's speaking, and bringing these things out to people. So I think you're one of the busiest guys that I know, that I talk to, actually. With these shows that I've been doing, they explore these different sorts of topics that you just mentioned. You know, Alaska Triangle, we talk about UFOs, and we talk about strange anomalies out there. And on Gaia, we talk about not only extraterrestrials, but esoteric stuff, and all kinds of ancient symbolism, and secret societies, and sacred landmass. But I mean, what people got to know is that in this field, when you and I are working with media, whether it's radio, whether it's TV, and all these sort of things, is that to do this work, you know, you have to have a number of places to pull from and get things in when you learn things. And, you know, I learn from all different kinds of people, you know, as a researcher. And most certainly, you know, you've done a lot of great to teach people out there. And I've asked you questions at times, and you've been tremendously helpful. I mean, just the other day I was on the line with you, and I was asking you about our legends about the Sasquatch and giants and ancient people here, and it's amazing that you are also, as an educator, that you also collect these. I know you got the same fascination, but you have so many of these ancient stories and things that you put together, and by teaching people, you know, we have to preserve this knowledge so it doesn't slip through our fingers like sand, right?
Well, I've always found it important that, even though as much as we try to let our listeners or public know that, you know, say for example, Sasquatch do exist, and then the questions are, most people were always asking, were they born here, or are they from another planet? Well, number one, I strongly believe they were actually from another planet. They were dropped off here because I feel what I was told, that their planet had died out, and so they had to find a new location to live, and so they were brought here by another extraterrestrial group, and they've been living here for a long time. They've been around here during the dinosaur time period. They're not the Cro-Magnon version of it. They are very smart and intelligent beings, and some people say, well, even they believe the Anunnaki were the ones that designed them, their group or their species. You know what? I wouldn't put it past if it was. And then they would actually say too, like, for example, lately, and I will share this with you, Jonny, I've been watching a lot of people sending me new stuff now today, or these last few months, 6 months or so, and everybody's talking how evil the Anunnaki are and whether they're here still or not. Well, folks, I'm gonna let you guys know, my presentation stipulated something important that you guys had to see. When I shared my story, right, and actually here's the video on it, by the way. So when I shared when I did my presentation, it had different aspects of, I guess you say, awarenesses for you folks to pay attention to, because they were saying they're going to come down here and let themselves be known. But this is a different group. These aren't the violent group. This is a different group of Anunnaki. Not every Anunnaki person was evil. That was the first group that were here at the very beginning. There were others that broke away. The ones that I've spoken to, that I've been working with, I have broken away. They have and they were teaching or talking about the medical healing sense of it too, when we talked about the med beds. And recently, the last few months, when Trump was in as president, he mentioned the word med beds. And I thought to myself, wow, okay, that makes sense. And then he talked about what the med beds did, and then someone sent me some photos on it, and I went, holy crap, I was on that back in 2003. So here's me telling the story about these med beds, these healing modalities that are available. And I also mentioned doppelgangers on the ships, because I said that the doctor, the guy that was working on us, I said he looked like Deepak Chopra. And he said, no, he said Deepak Chopra is his doppelganger. So that means that they have been bringing twins or doubles or triples on our Earth. And I've been talking about this for freaking years.
Yeah.
Right? A long time ago about doubles and twins, and now people are talking about clones. Oh, we got clones. As there's new people out there now, they're clones. Gee, I wonder where that came from, Derrick. Since 2003. Right? Now, like I'm saying, I'm telling the story, and some people are going like, well, how do you know? How do you know? Give me proof. I've been around it. I've talked to them. This is what these guys are doing. The Anunnaki were making humans, and they were duplicating us. They weren't just one kind of species of one guy's face or one woman's face or body. They're making duplicates, and they were dispersing them out all over the world. When the Palladians, or actually the Anunnaki, are one of the oldest brothers who actually helped develop us, decided they wanted to wipe us out and start over again. Then the Palladians kicked in, and they stepped in. They said, no, you can't do that. You can't take it. They can't take out these people because they're considered God's children now. They're humankind. You cannot wipe them out. You have no right to do that. And so what they did is they labeled the Anunnaki as the demon or a demonic group. So the thing is that this is what really irks me. There's a group, yes, whatever philosophy they followed, whether even sometimes it follows into an Egyptian theme, but that's what we are learning about the Egyptian time period, because Jonny himself is going to Egypt, by the way, and he's doing a tour, and he's looking for people that want to go with him to Egypt. And he's explored there already. A couple of years back, he was up there, and he's had a great group of people with him. And anybody wants to do the Egyptian tour and explore it, Jonny, if you want to share that as well.
Thank you so much, Derrick. I appreciate you mentioning that. Yeah, we do tours to Egypt every year, and we have a great tour coming up this year, Return of the Kepler Cycle. And you can find out more information about it at our website, www.returnofkeplercycle. That's Kepler is Kepher, Kepler cycle. And what that is, it's sort of like the age of Aquarius we're going into now. There's these ancient Egyptian prophecies, Derrick, that are being fulfilled now with the alignment of these energies. And with this, you could say that all the stuff that's happening in the world has sort of been predicted by the ancient Egyptians, this great alignment of energy and where we're headed. And it's a very, very powerful time when there's sort of a cleansing on the planet that's taking place. But after all the riffraff comes to the surface, so to speak, and that's kind of what we're going through now, there is this enlightenment period that we go through. So in Egypt, going there right now, not only is it the most economical and the most incredible I've ever seen in my years of going there, that we have these exclusive permissions and places that we're going to that are really incredible. we're going to get to see stuff, folks, that people normally could only dream of going to. And Egypt has been called by the news places, and even CNN, if you want to call them, one of your regular news places, they've called Egypt one of the safest post-pandemic places to travel to. So right now, I think it's due to the frankincense in the air, Derek, or the hot temperatures and the fact that you're mostly outside in open-air temples. There's little to no COVID there. And so far, the tourism has opened back up, and it's fantastic. They're very safe about it. You just need a test before you go there. There's no jab required, just a test. And what's really great is we purposefully scheduled our tour right around the June 18th mark, because right by then, Air Canada is offering direct flights directly to there. We also know that there's direct flights in the United States and around Europe. So this year, the way to travel as we move into the summer months, and as they start to introduce these things called immunity passports, asking for either a COVID test, which of course we all know where that's going later on. It will be probably more for, screening people who's had the jab. But right now, even if you haven't had the jab, just which, a lot of people have very strong feelings about that, obviously. But if you just had the test, that's good enough. But June 18th onwards in Canada, we have this direct flight, or I think it's actually June 17th. So the great thing about that is that this is a great time to go to Egypt. I think it's probably the best I've ever seen. I'm very excited about the group we have coming, Derek. And we always make great discoveries. And it's interesting, Derek, because usually when I go to Egypt, and I always like to bring you back a souvenir from there, and you put it in your display case. But there's always something special or magical that happens, and there's always a special souvenir that comes to you too. You always tell me, hey, Johnny, you're going to discover this thing. There's going to be 2 people. It's going to be up on the wall. And sure enough, last time, we made this great discovery. It's been on Gaia TV, beyond belief and everything. So there's so many great things that happen.
One more, there's a couple of things that we'll let our listeners and viewers know. You actually discover, or you actually experience some of my, I guess, a couple of predictions I made for you or with you before you went there. But one, I did say that you're going to have a visitor come and visit you.
Oh, yeah, no, that was interesting.
Yeah, if you want to share that with people.
Yeah, you know what? I totally forgot that you had said that. That was strange. That was really strange. I don't know. Do we have time for me to tell it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, got less time.
So, yeah, there was, in that last experience I had, I was out in Egypt right at the peak of the pandemic there, right when the COVID lockdowns were happening around the world.
Yeah.
So I go into Egypt because, for me, I can't say no to a good adventure. So I have to just head out there and go on the adventure. People say, don't travel. I say, give me a ticket, and I'm going. So I go out there, and we're in the middle of this thing, and everything's kind of shutting down around the world. People said, hey, the airports are going to shut down because, the world is going into this COVID panic. Luckily for me, my flights were coming in and out of Heathrow in London. And by then, they were still doing herd immunity. They were not shutting down. They were keeping Heathrow open. And so I have a friend that we were actually talking about at this UFO conference there. His name is Colin Wolford, and he works for British Airways. And I actually was on the phone with him about this, trying to figure out what I was going to do with tickets and all that sort of stuff. When I went to Egypt on this last trip, I had an extraordinary experience in my hotel room. The world was shutting down. I have a sister back in Canada that was panicking and telling me, you're not going to get out of Egypt. You're going to get stuck there. You're going to die from COVID. And she said, this is going to be the world's biggest pandemic. Every news channel is talking about it. The whole world is melting down and all that sort of stuff. And so this being who, I believe is, I guess I'll say it if people know who he is, he's very similar to what would be described as Tutmos III. Comes into my room from the left side of the bed. And you predicted something like this, but I'd totally forgotten this because I was in the middle of a very strange time. And this being shows up, and at first I didn't see anything there. I just heard a voice, and it was very, very powerful. It was a presence that came from the left side of my bed. And it told me on the first night I was there, it said, do not be afraid. because my mind was racing. You know, what am I going to do? I was lack of sleep. I was in insomnia kind of state, you know, just, you know, getting in there, still jet lagged, not sleeping, all the adrenaline from everything, probably too much coffee from being jet lagged.
Lots of sand.
And this being says to me, Derrick, it says, do not be afraid. Everything is going to work out. You're there for a reason. There's things you have to do. And there was an incredible experience I had inside the Great Pyramid, where I had these things downloaded to me. And in another area, it was very, very important, because there is things during that trip that I had to go through that were extremely, extraordinarily important, that ended up finishing the trip in just outside of London, over in this area near West Sussex, if people know where that is, where I saw this incredible, enormous UFO that was the size of a football field. It was enormous over us. That would lead up to what was going to happen on this trip. But this being said, do not be afraid. Everything is going to work out, and you're going to be guided. And I was kind of getting a little bit worried. I was trying not to be, because my tickets were not going to be valid. My plane tickets and all flights leading out of Egypt were getting canceled one after the other. And they're like, people are like, hey, it's your last chance to get out of here. So we had a guy there that was on our tour group, and I didn't know what, to tell him either, the guy that was left over from the tour. And Mohammed and I were like, let's go forward. We have to, keep going and doing what we're doing. And then they started to shut down all over the world, and Egypt was very reluctant to shut down. But I mean, what could they do? They had pressure from that. So the next night, to make a long story short, there I was, and the same being that you had predicted, this being came to my room again. And it was so strange. It said to me, this time it was a lot clearer and stronger and more powerful. I thought that, I wasn't going to get out of there that night. I had, throughout the day, I tried to rebook my flight to see if I could get something. And as far as I knew, there was going to be no way I could get out of Egypt, no flights or anything like that. This being says to me, this Egyptian powerful figure kind of said to me, you need to pick up the phone right now and dial British Airways right now. And keep this in mind, that all through that day, I had tried my friend Colin, who works on the management side of British Airways. I had tried calling earlier in the day. I'd exhausted all my options. They said, there's no flights, there's nothing. You're going to be stuck here. And I thought, hey, this is going to be quarantined for a few weeks or a month or whatever it's going to be. I guess I better make the best out of it and get used to the kebabs. And I love Egypt. It's my second home when I get there. It's one of the most beautiful places. I love the people, the food, and all that. But you think, hey, when am I going to get back to Canada? So I call up after this being instructed me and said, if you just call now. This is going to work out for you. I call up British Airways, and sure enough, the lady, she's on the phone with me, and she says to me, there's no flights or availability, no seats. And then she goes, wait a second. She goes, hold on a second. One seat just opened up at the flight 3 hours from now. This was 3 a.m. or something like that. I was calling her. And there was a flight that opened up for 6 a.m. that morning, 3 hours from then. I had very little time if I was going to make that decision. So the being that had appeared to my room had steered me at the exact right time to call, which was very, very strange. The information I was given and the experiences that came out of that. And you predicted that. I had to rush out of my hotel room, pack everything as fast as I could, Derrick. The Uber driver on the way out, he got pulled over for speeding. I still made it to the airport, made it out of Egypt, into London at the right time. But yeah, always a magical, mystical, fun adventure whenever going to Egypt, I'll tell you.
And you being there, do you find that when the last time you were there, that you've learned a lot of new information regarding the trip? Because I remember you were asking me a lot of questions, like what you're going to find. And I remember I think I mentioned to you regarding something to do with white powder or something like that. I mentioned.
Yeah, that was the previous trip you did.
Yeah.
And we made a great discovery there. On this trip, I think you said you were good about it too. You said something about going under a pyramid, and we did in Saqqara. We went under. We were visiting the Red Pyramid and the Bent Pyramid, and there was a new area that we got access to that normally people don't get access to. We went very, very deep. It was amazing, the subterranean complexes we went into and the permissions we got. It was well worth it.
Yeah.
So going there, it was amazing. I also had an experience where when I was in the Great Pyramid, this is why I think that being had something to do with it. I was meditating in the pyramid in these light, or you could say, just in a moment of contemplation. And these type of codes, light codes or something came into me. And for some reason, I was supposed to take those into England with me, where I visited on the eve of the quarantines, where I had this very incredible UFO sighting with my friend Harry Challenger from the Flying Saucer Review. And that was very strange because that was like the next day I left Egypt. There I was in England. And we were out there in this place where these UFO contactees go, that he knows. And I wasn't expecting to see a UFO. You know, Derek, when people tell you that you're going to see a UFO, well, and then you look up in the sky and you see like these little blobs, these little blurps of like satellites or something, right?
Yep.
I go out in the field and we're walking along, and I'm walking with Harry Challenger, and he's telling me to walk around this field. And he says, come on over here. It's about 2, 3 in the morning and it's cold outside. The stars are out. It's in the English countryside. And he says, come over here. Right by where this tree is. He says, it's very important you tell them who you are. And I said, okay. I said, all right, I'll talk to the tree. And he says, I'm with my friend Johnny. He's a UFO researcher. He's from Canada. This is who he is. He says, come on, Johnny, tell them who you are. So I start, talking to the tree. I kept an open mind. I said, I'm Johnny. I'm here I'm interested in UFOs and extraterrestrials and world things. And he says, walk over here with me. We walk to the other side of the field. And he says, they have bases all through this area. He says, these Anunnaki folks or whoever they are. And we went to these various areas and we talked about it. And then we sat inside this energy, a high energy area where these high druids used to go and all this sort of stuff. And this was in the middle of the night. And again, this is just on that 21st to 22nd of 2020 when the quarantines took off. And this is before the next day, everything would get shut down in London, across Europe. That was it. So it was a very interesting night on the eve of all this stuff. It was very exciting when this was happening. So we sit out there on the grass, and he took out a flashlight, not a laser or anything fancy. He just said, okay, let's try this. We're going to do like a Tesla combination of 3, 6, 9 of lights. And as we were sitting there, after a moment, I didn't think anything was going to happen. All of a sudden, this enormous UFO, the biggest thing. I'm not talking about a little thing. I'm not talking about a little blurb or a satellite. We're talking, it's right over our heads, like as if you're looking up at your ceiling right now in your house. And it's, up at it's like the top of a rooftop of a house. It's right above us. Yeah. And it is enormous. It has like this engine or something, this pulsating ball of light engine under it that's just enormous. And it pulsates down into that flashing pattern back to us right over our heads. I let out, Derek, and I go, holy I am amazed by this thing. I can't believe how enormous it is. And he says to me in his accent, his British accent, he goes, that's it, Johnny. He says, don't give into astonishment. He says, he's very calm about it. It didn't bother him. He says he's seen a lot of these things. He says, don't give into astonishment, he tells me. So it's amazing that they kind of came out there to kind of say hello to us and greet us and everything.
Well, what you had seen is very similar to what I had seen, because when they had me on the ship and they're landing on the planet, their planet, with me on the ship, and they brought me down, like I was on this hologram traveling like this screen, or on this tube, went down. I was already on the earth, on their planet, on the ground, and I'm looking up and I can see the same, like in the way I saw this ship, a complete circle in the, like it's hollowed in the center, but it had that rainbow moving very, very fast, and the colors of rainbow colors, like just multiple colors, but it had that sound, like really deep whirling, and it just lifted itself back up in the sky. But I remember them saying they had the amount of people that were on the ship. They said they can fit as much as 330,000 people on that ship, on that size of ship. And I'm thinking, well, how come I never got to see everything? Like, oh, well, that's, at least I got to see something. But I was really happy to experience it, because I mean, even what, if Harry thinks that it was no big deal, sure, Harry can say, well, no big deal, because I see this all the time. But for you, for the first time, you're going like, holy, whoa, what is, because it's your first time, and he has to learn to let you experience it. Like, because sure, if you have seen like 10, 20 times, you're going to like, yeah, this is cool. Like, don't make
it. Derek, I've seen things in a distance, or maybe you see like a little ship or something move, or whatever it is. But when you see something right over your head, like what you are with
right there, you're looking up, and it's right there. Yeah, you're not looking out there. You're not looking at miles and hundreds of miles away. It's above you. You swore you're looking up at least about no more 100 feet, and yet the ship is the size of 3-4 football fields.
Yeah, in my mind, I can still see it. I can still see it very, very clearly of what this, whatever it is, the engine, the propulsion, or whatever it is, something like plasma or something, that was coming down over us, like right above us. I mean, it's incredible. Like you said, with the rainbow plasma, the colors, I mean, the colors are like laser when you see them. It's amazing.
Yeah. Once you have that first experience, you'll never forget it. I'll never forget the day that I had the opportunity to travel on the ship. And again, they took me back home after, but I mean, I got to see their planet. They took me some places that they wanted me to see, the discovery of it, how their lifestyle is compared to us. They're way ahead of us in time, but yet what I learned from it, they're still people. They're just simple people like us. Sure, they're taller than us, but they also have a life of their own. They have families, they got kids. I mean, this is a colonized country, or colonized world, that these are people that are not militarized. These are people that are not wanting to harm us. And they did say they are considered the guardians of our galaxy, the guardians of our planetary system. Now, one thing, I'm not sure, Johnny, if you actually did see it. I'm not sure if I sent it to you, but did you see that part in England? A young lady friend of mine had an opportunity. She asked, I guess, her guardians, extraterrestrial guardians, if there's more than one planet close by. And apparently what they did that one morning, they opened the veil. And I got the cover, I got the video of it. She video recorded another planet the same size as our planet, possibly even bigger, right? And I saw her, and she actually video recorded outside her window of her apartment. And she goes, oh my God, like as if the veil opened up, and next thing you know, there it is. And it had two suns. Our country, our world has two suns. And I'm talking about two children, two sons, as in sons. Well, then a few days ago, someone sent me another video, and it was recorded above California. And again, another recording above Georgia. And there was a video record of the view of a sun on the left and the view of the sun on the right. One was in the clouds slightly, another one's in the other, like it was wide out there, like bright. And I'm thinking to myself, they are sharing with us now the truth. They're letting us know that we're not the only ones living here, and we're to believe that this planet is the only one in existence. And sure, the moon is just so far away. They'll say, oh, that's millions of miles away for the moon. Now I'm told, these last 6 months or more ago, that moon is not a real planet. They're now trying to tell me that it's very similar to what Star Wars was called the Death Star, their movie. They're using that very similar symbolism of it, saying Guys, open your eyes. This is what really is like. This is what the moon is. It's looks like a death. They call it the Death Star, but it is actually a moon. The people that actually travel to the moon are living there. There's over 1 million people living on that moon. There's over 1 million people plus living on Mars for the last 50 plus years. And then I tell people, then why aren't we notified and told that there are people like us that are living on other planets? And the first thing the government's going to tell you is you wouldn't be able to handle it. Handle what? It's wonderful to travel to other planetary systems, but they also said Mars was the very first planet that the Anunnaki colonized and failed it, and that's why they came to this Earth. So now, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I believe that you're going to find runes on Mars pretty soon. And what you're going to find, just like Richard Hoagland found many years ago, he found this head of like a sphinx sort of looking head up there. You're going to find that they have all kinds of ancient runes, possibly pyramid sites and things like that. Let's just say that for the last few decades, our guys have already been up there. And with Mars, think of it like this. You know, things like the Marianas Trench, that, you know, this very, very deep watery places. Think how you can have very, very deep watery places that go down very, very deep. Think how you could have these places on Mars that if you were to go to, it is going to be like, you know, if you went up over to Mount Kilimanjaro or Mount Everest, 29,000 feet up, or some crazy you know, height that you go up to. Think about the different altitudinous places that you could go up to and what it's going to be like to breathe in these sort of conditions. Think about that if you were to walk around Mars in certain places, that it would be like breathing in those kind of conditions. Well, there's these other areas, these sort of residual magnetic core areas that, you know, let's just say they could have things built alongside those. You know, places that our guys would build up there. Now, right now, it's not going to be as fancy as it is in the movies, but you get a guy like Elon Musk that wants to go there in the future, and he has ideas about this. Elon Musk, he only might know a little bit about this stuff that's been going on there for a while. He might have a little bit of knowledge, and for that, he's excited to go there alongside Robert Bigelow. Those guys have got the contracts to go up to Mars. But with that, definitely there's been stuff up there. Things didn't go so well. And you might say that maybe there was all kinds of challenges. Just like you were saying, Derek, earlier on, you were talking about how we could have like a Death Star kind of configuration. Well, what if you look at the asteroid belt as the remains of a planet that used to be there that was blown up? What if you look at different things that have happened in these migrations of people coming here? A lot of people might not know this, but you know, there's a lot of ancient groups on this earth that have different star maps. You know, not only when you look over at the Hungarians, that you'll see star maps, but you'll look over at in places like China. If you look in China, you have these things called the Dropa stones. And the Dropa stones are these stones, again, that are these ancient star maps. Now, the Chinese don't like to talk about this too much because there's these 5 autonomous places in China that have secrets. They have an area that has great pyramids that they don't want to talk about, that are even bigger and more ancient, possibly than, you know, the one that you find in Egypt. But with that, you see these incredible maps from these cultures that say they lead back from Mars. Now, what's also interesting about the Hungarians is the Hungarians, and, you know, Derek, I knew close to you, you know, you have people, Marina, that we can talk about connections to Croatia and all these sort of areas and the amazing aspects of the Croatians and the Serbs and stuff like that, with Nikola Tesla, who we could say potentially is an extraterrestrial type of guy. But with the Hungarians, they're great scientists that came out of there. Do you know what they were called? The Martians. So that's what we call them. If you look this up right now, type in the Martians scientists on Google, and they will come up to Wikipedia and it will show you these guys, and all the top Nobel Peace Prize winning scientists that have given us so many inventions have come from Hungary. And so that's kind of a tongue-in-cheek kind of indicator that they even believe that their shamans and others believe that they came from Mars.
Yeah.
Their descendants. Yeah. And so there's a lot of interesting connections that we have that that link us to here. And actually, one last thing is, if you go to Cairo in Egypt, Cairo, when we look at its name, when you look over the definition, actually translates to Mars. So what are we learning from the ancients? Are we Martians?
I got to kick it. I'm responding here to Mick Flair. He's actually saying, here's what Mick says. Derrick, you're just now finding out about the moon not being a natural heavenly body? Really? It's an old, huge, dead spacecraft. Haven't you ever noticed all of the craters are exactly perfectly the same size? The moon is so hollow that it made a clang when the booster hit it. I've known about this for over 2 years now, thanks to Gosha and her tagging contacts. And then he says Tiamat was blown to bits in a massive space war, totally nuked. The rocks floating in the orbit are the remains. Well, they're saying Tiamat actually exploded completely, all blown. No, it's not entirely true, because the planet that I was on is called TM, because what was left of it, they kept it and lived on it. So it's like they're saying, like whoever mentioned that or said that the Tiamat completely blew up in pieces. The thing is that some planets were much larger than our planet. I know it. And what Zial told me, he said a chunk of the planet was blown to bits, but for some reason I could just say how do you say this now? The gravity there is not the same as ours, because I had a hard time breathing on their planet. They had to give me something for me to be able to breathe in the planet. But when their gravity there was different, and they still lived on it. They're still living on remains of what the planet really is. It was never perfect. And yeah, you're right. It most likely the moon is either hollow, or it could be a spaceship of its own that was made thousands and thousands or hundreds of thousands of years ago. We all don't know. We are going through these phases of rebirth in our lives. So all we know is what they call the moon a moon. What's its purpose? To be seen at night. It's more of a moonlit night, more of a night light. If that moon did not have a light in it, so to speak, we would have complete darkness on this earth. That's why we have a sun that shines. We have the daytime, it shines the light bright for us to enjoy, give us the warmth and the healing in our body. This is where governments have a tendency of telling us to stay away from the sun because they believe it gives us skin cancer. No, it's what you put on your skin to prevent from having a sunburn. That's what causes the skin cancer. Because I was in the farm all my life and I never put any chemicals on my body, no salves, no creams. If I ever got a sunburn, I would just put on vinegar. I smell like a French fry after that, but that's okay. But it worked. Never peeled skin, but I tanned very dark. That was more natural than having to add all these creams. And so anytime anybody says to me that the sun is deadly and not good for you, they're wrong. Now, if by some chance, you remember those two folks, all these aerosols that are sprayed in the sky, all the pollution that's placed into the sky, and when the sun's UV ray goes through all these chemicals, of course it can do damage to our skin. It's not from the sun. It's what we blow into the air, what we spray into the air. We are inhaling it. We live around it. We are absorbed in it. And then we wonder why we get so sick. Some people actually have side effects to it. Some people will have asthmas, bronchial issues, skin conditions, itchiness, you name it, anything that I can come up with, those are all from sprays in the skies. Why do you think Bill Gates was spraying the skies? So he can create this COVID-19. He admitted it, that he sprayed the COVID-19 in the skies. I will say the word once, because I know very well that YouTube's going to give me heck for it. But he admitted it, right? Why did he do it? Because whether he wanted to harm us or to make us feel that we have to take something to do something, whatever, that's his choice. But the fact is, we are still a race that can still survive, right? Chemtrails have been an ongoing thing for many, many years, since the 1960s and 70s. They started off, because I remember when I was a kid looking at the blue sky, beautiful blue sky, you see all the beautiful clouds, and you thought it was the most purest, and you can smell the air, it smelled so good. But when they decided to spray the skies a lot, and they wanted to control the weather. Now, we never knew that. I thought they were spraying the skies because it's something to do with crops, to get rid of all the bad bugs. Find out later, we are eating it off the crops. So every time all these sprays are going across the sky or expelling from the jets and the flight and the airlines, we are inhaling it. You wonder why our immune system's so screwed up. So now what I've been informed recently, that all this is going to change, that the skies that were sprayed by Bill Gates and his people, that have all been cleaned up now. There's a new group of people came in there and they cleaned up all the chemtrails. So that the bad chemtrail is being cleaned up now. We're getting the proper ozone back, so we can breathe better. And I'm noticing myself, I'm noticing that our oxygen is a little bit easier for us to breathe than it once was. But I've also noticed too that our lives, I'm informed that we'll be able to live longer, not because of the vax shots. It has nothing to do with it. I'm being informed that we'll learn to live longer, to have a better life, because our skies, our oxygen, all that's going to be cleaned up. We're taking back our traditional medicines, everything that we have been fighting against to protect. That's coming back to us. It'll come to the point where all the pharmaceuticals are going to change and bring back traditional medicines. We are going to be a lot healthier. And again, it still relates to UFO, because the extraterrestrial beings, they're the ones that are our guardians of this planet. They're the ones that are trying to keep an eye on us. They're the ones that still want us here. And this is where people have started this fear mongering. They think that every extraterrestrial being is evil and they're the ones that are supposed to be racing us out of this world. No, they're not. If they wanted to get rid of us, they would have done it a long time ago. Now, mind you, there was a contract signed by a president, Harry Truman, with the extraterrestrial beings, the aliens, the Greys. He made a contract with them in trade for their technology. That's why you folks are able to see all of us here on video and audio. This is from the extraterrestrials. They're the ones that gave us all this tech stuff in trade, that he would give up 1 million people, human beings, to them to experiment on. That was the trade. So anytime anybody says to me that they've been abducted by a gray or have had all these nightmares, and whether they ran free or they've had a very horrible experience, or some say that some of their family members did not return home after they were taken, this is what's going on. And Angela's asking in the chat room, are we close to false flag UFO event? Not yet. And it could be the false flag. I think it already took place a while back already. But again, I'm not going to, I can't go any further with it because I'm not supposed to say anything yet. I wish I can. I want to say it, but they won't let me say anything. We all have to go through the experience, but I will let you know this, folks. If you hear of people saying they're being abducted suddenly, or there's supposed to be an invasion of UFOs that are going to try and harm us, don't believe it. That's a false flag. That's all I'm going to say to you. Because the med beds are developed by extraterrestrial beings. They're the ones that these are done by the Arcturians, the Pleiadians, and the Sumerians. These are the three groups that have been making these healing beds for us. Now, I will say this, and I'm big hands up and big, support for Daniel Brinkley. Daniel actually predicted back in the 90s that these med beds will exist. He saw that in a vision in his near-death experience, and he wrote it in his book. He's Saved by the Light in the book. If you read the book, folks, called Saved by the Light, he wrote that in his book, and I think the book was written in 1994 or 92.
He had the experiences in the 1970s.
Yeah.
When he had this, I was just talking to him last night. He called me, and hold on a second, Derek. 1 second. Let's put Daniel on the phone.
Oh, hey, why? Let's do it.
Hey, hold on. Let's ask Daniel. Tell him I'm on the line with you.
We're going to bring Daniel Brinkley on with Jonny Enoch, folks. So Daniel can actually tell you his story.
Yeah, Daniel can tell you live. Let's put him on. If he answers, he could be filming something right now.
Okay.
I know he was filming something, so I'm going to see if he'll answer, because then he'll tell you exactly what he saw, and I'll say, look, guys, you got to hear this when he tells it. He might call us right back.
Yeah.
Let's give it a moment. He might call us back in a second.
Yeah. But see, and here's the funny thing, which you folks don't know. I was once Daniel Brinkley's bodyguard for one night. Now I'm 5'9" and Daniel's 6'4". I was his bodyguard for one night. You tell me how that one worked out. Here's me, 225, weighing 225. Daniel was probably the same weight as me, but taller. But they wanted me to be his bodyguard so he can do his presentation here in Vancouver, British Columbia. That's where he was. And so a fellow by the name of John Sursta, who hired me, he wanted me to come in to be Daniel's bodyguard. And I said, oh, okay, sure. So I was Daniel's bodyguard. And Daniel has a little bit of an electrifying body. Something to do, like, he's been hit by lightning three times. He's been hit by lightning once in his house. The lightning knocked him right out of his shoes. In fact, his shoes fused into the floor of his house.
He was dead for 28 minutes.
He was dead for 28 minutes, yeah. Then the second time he got hit by lightning, he was actually in, I believe they said that he was in the morgue. His brother is supposed to, say, yeah, this is my brother. The coroner was going to open him up. And for some reason, Daniel's brother, noticed Daniel crying through his eyes because Daniel was paralyzed. He wasn't dead. He was very much alive, but his body was paralyzed from being hit by lightning the second time. And his brother saw tears going down both sides of his eyes, and they said, Daniel's alive, because they actually grabbed the scalpel out of the coroner's hand, like, no, he's alive. And so Daniel had to go through complete physical therapy for a good couple of years before he's back to himself again. And but through those two hits, Daniel's brain became so sensitive, seeing visions that were absolutely mind-boggling, that he would see things that most average medium or psychic could never see. That's what made Daniel so special. I'm not saying to people to go outside and go golfing and stick your club in the air and get hit by lightning. I'm not saying that's a good idea. But what I'm saying is that some people, for some reason, I know very well that Danyon was chosen. And so there's always a means. I mean, let's put it this way. I remember when I lived on the farm and as a kid back in the 70s, we didn't have lightning rods on our house. And it's been known that if your house gets hit by lightning, and we in Alberta, I was living in Alberta at the time, we get some really nasty dry lightning. The lightning came down and it hit the house and it blew up our TV set. I mean, literally our TV set went boom, scattered glass everywhere. And it scared the crap out of me because I was in the kitchen doing my homework, and then I went like, whoa, and then upstairs I went, Mom, Dad, the TV exploded. So lights went out, everything. So in the meantime, everything calmed down outside. So my dad came downstairs. Both my parents were asleep. I was doing late night homework. My parents came downstairs. My dad and I walked outside, and my father looked up with a flashlight lantern, sort of like, on the roof. There was no lightning rod. Now, if we had a lightning rod on the roof, we never would have got hit. So anytime anybody ever has any kind of house that has no lightning rod, and if lightning is known to be in that area, folks, someone has to put a lightning rod on the roof, because guaranteed you're going to get hit. That's why people talk about power surges. If you get power surges knocking out electricity, that's what it's all about. But if you have a lightning rod on your roof of your house, you won't have that problem. Now, mind you, some people live in trailers, and trailers are made of metal. Oh, wow. I've seen some things, nasty stuff happen there. But other than that, like I said, when I read Danyon's book many years ago, and I remember him making that prediction about these healing beds made of lights, different colored lights. And I thought, okay, it could happen. And I believed him. So when I had my first experience back in 2003, and I saw those beds when I was on one of those, and I went, okay, great, this is cool. And I found out later, they told me that my whole body was full of cancer, and they cured me. And they wouldn't tell me anything. They wanted me just to lay down and, just lay back. So I did. But they finally told me after what happened. So meantime, after all these years later, and then when Trump was president, and then he talked about the med beds, and then all of a sudden now these photographs are coming out, these videos are coming out showing the med beds, and we're like, those are the ones that I was on, or one like it. So I already know, and they're saying now these med beds are going to be released across the world. They're going to be used for cures for people of all sorts. And then these are not going to be, you're not going to have to pay to use them. You'll be using them for free. There'll be healing locations for these med beds, but that's later on down the road. So Trump was not allowed to go any further into it because they asked him to wait for a while until things calmed down, right? And so anyways, then nothing went further with this. But again, it's all part of the extraterrestrial connection. I strongly feel, and I'm sure Johnny will agree, which it's up to him, but I think very strongly that we are being led independently on our own to wherever we want to believe either there's extra existence or not. But what they want us to do is to explore them. They want us to know their history. They want us to learn about them. Because if they didn't, they would have prevented us from doing it. And if there are dead zones, I will say Mars and Moon, for example, if there are dead zones that don't have things that don't look as if anything really exists there anymore, it's because they were occupied at one time from previous thousands and thousands of years. That means there were civilizations that were and did exist. Why is this all important? Because we are still exploring our space, our time. Earth isn't just the only place we need to explore. Sure, my wife said to me, if I ever want to travel somewhere, I want to explore our country first before I leave it. Because most people have never explored 3/4 of their own country. They want to explore another world. Why haven't they explored their own country? It depends on you. Has Johnny ever been to Nova Scotia? I don't know. Johnny, you ever been to Nova Scotia?
You know, I was supposed to go to Nova Scotia this last summer, but due to COVID, I couldn't go there. But
yeah,
in Nova Scotia, there's a famous UFO stuff there. You've been to Nova Scotia, haven't you?
No, my grandmother's from there. She was born on the Reserve Bear River, and she's Mi'kmaq, Ojibwe, and but she originally was from what's called Bedeque in that area. But I've always wanted to go back. I got cousins living in Nova Scotia. I got cousins living in Australia, and I would like to go to both countries. Go to Nova Scotia and go to Australia, but we all have to wait until this lockdown is over, right?
Yeah, there's a very famous UFO encounter that happened in Nova Scotia with Shag Harbor, which maybe a lot of people have heard of. And of course, you know, we've had a Canadian coin that came out about it in Nova Scotia, but very famously, a lot of people at home that might be watching on your stream that you're having right now, they might be able to know where Nova Scotia is if you think about the very famous Canadian show called The Trailer Park Boys. They came out from there, which now is known all over the world. People associate Canadians with being like the Trailer Park Boys, which is one of those shows around the world people know.
In 1966, 65 or 66, they actually made a Canadian coin with a UFO on it. And that was to acknowledge the fellow who actually was hit by the radiation from one of the spaceships up in Trout. No, it wasn't Trout Lake. No, it was Trout Lake.
You're talking about Falcon Lake.
Falcon Lake. Yeah, I'm trying to think of Trout Lake, and that's further out. Yeah, there's two locations that we are going to. In Falcon Lake is where he got hit. And then there's a place that I went to called Trout Lake, that there was actually UFO sightings there as well. My sighting at the very same year, at the very same day, possibly the day before or day after, I remember being the kid who actually was in the house, 8 years old, 9 years old. Next thing you know, I'm in my house, standing up. I don't remember even waking up, standing up, and then I'm outside my house, standing on my front lawn at 5 o'clock in the morning. And the sun's already rising. And so, you know, this is back in the 1960s. Then when I went back into the house, went into my room, looking out the window, I remember seeing a UFO going across the sky. Now, we never called them UFOs back then. We called them spaceships, because you watch them where you see a drive-in movie. We never had TV to see spaceships. We didn't have TV then. We had drive-in theaters, and you have the opportunity to see one of those ships going across the sky. So when I told my mom that I seen a UFO, my mother thought I was crazy. They go like, not crazy, it's just a child. Oh yeah, I just sees things, makes it up, just get attention. Until that afternoon when my mom asked me to go with her downtown to go shopping. Downtown, we took the bus. We didn't drive down. So we took the bus, and the bus driver took a break for about 5 minutes before we left, and he pulled out his transistor radio, placed it on top of the dash, turned on the news, and there was the news media saying that there was over 1,000 phone calls of over 1,000 sightings of UFOs flying over Brandon, Manitoba, seen all over the place. And when I already told my mom that back at 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning, my mother looked at me and she says, "I'll never stop believing you again." And she knew. So then I wasn't the only crazy kid experienced it. So the thing is that we, through the years as young kids, shrug things off until years go by. Again, we're all affected by being connected to travel with extraterrestrials or having to make contact with them. So this is the thing. This is what we do. Now, Johnny, in your experience, what are your thoughts about UFOs yourself personally? What do you think that you one day that you want to be on one of those ships to travel with them and take a trip, never leave the farm?
I absolutely think it would be great to go up for a trip on a UFO, just like you did. Go up through the stars and look down at the earth and everything like that. And who's to say that we all haven't taken lots of trips before we just don't recall it?
Yeah.
I want to make a prediction that everybody watching this right now, and I'm sure, Derrick, you have your sources about disclosure and things that are coming up. But one little juicy tidbit I did get from some folks I talked to that have a pulse to what's happening over here. They said that by the end of this year, there is an event that the powers that be are a little bit concerned about everybody seeing, because it lets the story out of the bag, so to speak, is that there's going to be a very large platform that towards the end of this year that's going to be visible more towards where the space station is, but it's very large. It's about 50 to 100 kilometers in size across. And when you see this platform, it's going to be so undeniable that you know that it's an extraterrestrial ship. So the question is, can it be covered up? Can it be hidden so people can't see it? So most certainly there is an event potentially this year. And I was told that the reason this platform is coming here is because there are some folks that are here that want to go home. That should come of no surprise to people, because Derrick's been telling you guys for years the ETs are here. You know, ETs are walking among us already. They are involved with our scientists. They're on Earth. If you want to see them, go to Venice Beach, go to Oxford University. They're there working with our governments, you know, with all different types of groups, different intentions, different reasons for being here. But the ETs are here and they're walking among us.
Mr. Bill Gates actually stated on the news many times, he says that he wants to make a specific kind of chemical to close off the sun. And if he does that, that means the reason why he wanted to do that wasn't because to close off the sun, because he doesn't want you to see the ship. So, yeah, you think about it, folks.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I know that would make sense, you know, that someone would want to block off the sky because of that ship coming here.
Yeah, because he's also informed ahead of time what to expect. You got to remember now, too, you got the good side, you got the bad side. There's always going to be somebody that's going to try to prevent you from succeeding, right? So I'm going to show you guys here on my screen. This is what the video looks like that I did a presentation on. And this is what a lot of the people themselves were presenters. And so if you ever want to get one of Johnny's video, you can always go online to the Laughlin UFO Mega Congress, the conference, their website, and they have a page where you can actually order the videos, and some of the collective videos, they actually have some ones there from last year or even years before. Johnny is in one of those recordings as well, and you can order one of his for his presentation, because like I said before, his last presentation was phenomenal.
So was yours. People loved yours.
Yeah. So okay, so Angela's saying, wait, if many ETs are wanting to leave, why do they know that we don't?
Well, no, it's not that all the ETs are leaving, just a specific group of them, I hear.
Yeah, a certain group of them, but also there's people like you and I that live on this earth. Sometimes people want to go with them as well. They don't want to stay on this earth. People just want to live a different life, you know. And you'll actually, I've seen videos of actually people are all wanting one-way tickets to Mars, and they want to live on Mars. And these are people like you and I. I've seen that as well. This is actually on TV. There's people that want a one-way ticket to live on Mars. So if they're wanting one-way ticket to live on Mars, and whether it's Elon Musk or someone else is willing to say, here, come on, get on my ship, let's go do it, we'll see what happens. But if these guys want to go, but I can tell you this right now, I know full well that there has been a militarized group that have been living on Mars for over 50 years. And apparently I was informed there's well over 1 million that actually are living on that planet underground city. And the air quality on Mars is not as bad as most people think. So apparently it's very similar to our Earth's atmosphere. And people said they have found photographs of people standing outside when the satellites were taking pictures of Mars planet. But again, certain photos, not whole bunch of photos. They're allowing a few of them to take pictures, and they found a form of a woman standing outside that walked out of a doorway, so to speak, and she's standing out there. There's a photograph of her, and then someone walked back in. And then when I seen that picture, then someone said to me, "Oh, that's just, what it is. Anybody can do that." Uh-huh. Sure, I can take a picture of my girlfriend, put her on that planet, make her look as though she was just coming out of the planet. If you think that, that's fine. This is a video, guys. This is not just a photograph. There's also a video of that person walking out. Oh, no, I can make that video too. Anytime you're trying to say something that you're saying this is real, and these are truth from people that actually have recorded it, and some of these videos are coming from NASA, not from some guy named NSA. No, NASA, right? So Danny must be really busy doing an interview.
Yeah, he must be, because I did give him a shout here. I mean, I could try giving him a ring again, see if he's around, but I think maybe he is filming something.
Yeah, he's got to be filming. Daniel's always busy, like both of us. We're always busy doing our thing. Yeah. So
try one more time before the show's over here. Let's try him again.
Okay. Some of our people may think that that we someone actually abbreviated NASA, never a straight answer. That's a good one. Yeah, I love that. Yeah,
that's true.
Now, if anybody wants to find Jonny, or if you guys are interested, wanting to get involved or wanting to get tickets to be part of the Laughlin UFO Mega Congress that's happening in July, go onto the website, the Laughlin UFO Mega Congress or conference, and let's see here. It should have the .com on there. Or is it mine?
And no, it's on there. UFO Mega Conference.
Yeah, UFO. Just type in the word Laughlin UFO Mega Conference, and again, folks, that it'd be worth your while to.
Thank you, by the way, Janet Nichols, for the kind words there.
Yeah, well, you're most welcome. And so Johnny's been busy. I know that because he's a hard guy to tie down. I had to call him 2 weeks ahead of time to say, "You got some time here?" Because he's busy doing. Like I said, those are just coming in late. If you want to let our listeners know, Jonny, how many other shows that you're being part of right now that's actually already been released on TV on our televised show programs. So you have the Alaska.
Yeah, thanks again for asking, Derek. I'm currently on the Travel Channel's Alaska Triangle. I'm on a few shows on Gaia that are coming up. We have Deep Space. I'm on a few seasons of Deep Space on there. I'm on Ancient Civilizations, Beyond Belief, and some other shows that are coming out that will be announced soon. Yeah. But other than that, Vivian, you're right. No Daniel tonight, I guess. Like Derek said, if you want to find out more, pick up Daniel's book, Saved by the Light.
Yeah.
Go to, I think it's chapter 5, and you'll start to see when he's talking about the boxes of light.
Yeah.
That he'll be talking about that. I could be off in that book, but if you open it up, you're going to see when you get to the area about the boxes of light. He does talk about the beds. He also talks about the chips, and with these chips that you put in you, he talks about how this would be a healthcare thing that we go through right now. And DARPA just announced there were certain chips that they were going to be using to start looking at our blood and stuff like that, which is very interesting. Thank you for the kind words, Angela, as well. That was very nice of you. And it's so nice to be here with Derek. Derek, you're so kind to have me on your show and to talk about these things. And also to promote the event that Mick just said that he's going to be at the event. That's very, very exciting. Yeah,
Mick's going there again. Good. Mick is also, he actually does his own show. He does a little bit of a DJ work. He mixes some music.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it does mix some music, which is good. And now, if anybody have any questions for Jonny in the chat room, you guys are more than welcome to ask, any questions if you're interested. Let's see here, just a quick look. Yeah. Lois is saying the light is flashing behind you. It does. As soon as spirit, every time Johnny and I are in the same room, we get light flashing behind me all the time. And that tells us that extraterrestrial beings or ETs with us, so to speak. It always happens between both him and I. Now, I want to talk about, before we leave this as well, I have a healing crystal, or a crystal that I've been given by the Anunnaki many years ago. And the funny thing is that I showed Johnny mine and what had happened, and he experienced the energy coming from it. Now, this particular crystal that's used is not something that you get from a store. It's not something you buy. This one here, the way it's made, is a key. It's a specific, it actually has all your connections about yourself inside and in it. And I showed Johnny for the first time, and he got to experience the energy coming from it. Then months later, I ended up getting a visitation from one of the ladies, or the lady that has been working with me. And she gave me gave me a crystal, and she says, give this to Johnny. And she said, this is going to help him. So I did. When John got Johnny to come over, and he got a crystal very similar to mine. And so he traveled with that, and you went to Peru with it?
Yeah, no, I brought it with me to a few places. I brought it to Egypt, and I also brought it to Peru and Bolivia. And I had a shaman up there, Wilco, who was looking at it with their traditions. He has a lot of the traditions of working with the star beings and going up into the mountains with it and whatnot. He picked it up, and he felt the ET energy on it. He could definitely see that it had these records and energy with it.
So that's what happens, folks. In times, we all have different kinds of items that are given to us that are part of our life or lifestyle. And so many of you will have an experience. Now, anybody ever wants to experience any kind of crystallized connection with extraterrestrials or ETs, even if it's dimensional, if you get a certain kind of stone, one particular stone that I do highly recommend is called an Ajoite, Ajoite. That's Ajoite. That particular stone is very, very important. You can use that one for extraterrestrial communication to whomever you want to make contact with. Let's see. Keith's asking how much longer before Trump. Keith, you already know. Let's put it this way. The month of May is going to be a huge eye-opener for everyone. Like I said, it's a month of celebration. Just be patient. That's all I can say. Nothing more. I'm trying to give people more positive than is negative, because I've seen so much negative out here lately in every Facebook, every YouTube, you name it. Everyone's like, oh my God, this, and oh my God, that. And then I'm looking, okay, what can we do to give people more enlightenment? I will say this, and Johnny understands this, because Deep State is right now, they're hanging on to what's left in this world. They're just trying to come up with everything and anything they can right now to use us to be so fearful of them, and they got nothing more left. So right now they're trying to scare us by having to raise our monies, tickets if we don't obey. They want to do all these new things. And then basically I tell people too, if they're telling you to lock down, like as in lock down for a week or two, and if the military are involved, don't get mad about it. Just get your ass in the house, stay there until it's over, because what they're doing, again, I repeat, they're rescuing the kids from underground. They're trying to save them, to bring them home to their families. That's the only reason why there's a lockdown. This has nothing to do with what you guys are thinking of. Nothing. So they're doing the major rescue. And so there's very little of it left. Our country in Canada is the last of the cleanup. So and we're very fortunate for Jonny and I, we're very fortunate being BC because we haven't really been affected at the worst of it all compared to either Ontario, Quebec, or even Eastern Moore, or other countries, because we're very fortunate. I'm not sure why. I do believe, I understand that it was cleaned up already ahead of time in the early part of the season of our year, 2020. So I remember one of the guys that was listening to was saying that 18% of it was already taken care of, and they were talking about the West Coast. So that was us here, and they're working on the East. Now we're working on the East and going into the fall and the spring, and that's what this is. So that's what they're doing. Now, I really do believe that Jonny won't even have to have any passport whatsoever. The only passport he'll need is just to go across the border. That's it. Nothing more. Won't be talking about anything else more on top of that. She says, let's see here. Okay. Yeah. That's basically it is. This is fear mongering right now, all of us. And but what I wanted to put is talk about extraterrestrials tonight, because I want to get Jonny on the program, because we need to promote Lawful and UFO Mega Congress. It's absolutely important. You guys, I really do strongly feel, if anybody's listening and watching the program, if you really want to know more about extraterrestrials, get your butt down there and take the 3-4 days or 8 days, whatever you want to do. Because everybody will doing workshops, each individual doing different workshops at different days. So whoever you want to choose on the list to say, well, where is Jonny? What day is Jonny going to be on? So when you find out his schedule, when he's going to do his presentation, then make that schedule. Get down there and see Jonny and say, okay, here's where Jonny's going to be, and they're going to be in a hotel, so you can get a hotel room there, right? Take a hotel room there, and there's also this casino, you name it. It's got there's gambling machines everywhere. Or if you want to, again, bring a trailer, whatever you want with you, camp there, it's up to you. You make a choice. But again, it's going to be, when I was there last time, I was there in February, which the weather wasn't bad at all. I mean, it wasn't cold or it wasn't hot, but it was nice. I just never had a chance to really do running around like I wanted to. I wanted to go see Art Bell's gravesite in Pahrump, Nevada, but I never had the time. I didn't know who to talk to get a ride down there, and that was only 3/4 of an hour drive. But I was talking to some friends of mine that I've made friends with up in Laughlin, and the next time I go back there, I'm going to make that trip, right? But when I do go back there, I'm going to go there also. Hopefully, we'll have another presentation to do regarding UFOs and other things as well. Anyways, Jonny, is there anything else you want to share with our listeners and viewers before we sign off?
You know what? I just want to tell people that you were born and around before the universe was made, and that all of you watching are an infinite consciousness, and that no matter what is going on in the world, as even Derrick was talking about this, that, wanting to give people this hope, this good energy, something to look forward to. Like Mick was saying, he's all about positivity. It's his forte. This is the thing. When the world is dark out there, you just have to use your light. You could shine brightly and illuminate the path for yourself and others. And that's what I love about what you're doing, Derrick. You're bringing this light, this love, this message out to people, that we can move forward and have something to look forward to. And that's what each and every single one of you can do.
And also, too, if you guys want to make friends or make a connection with Jonny on Facebook, he actually has a Facebook page. Jonny, just look for Jonny Enoch, and if you can just make a friend on Facebook, you see all of the programs and things that he's doing. And like I said before, you would see things. And he's also on Instagram, and I'm not sure else. What else that you're doing? Instagram and Facebook?
Yeah, thanks again, Derrick. On Instagram, on Esoteric Jonny. If you want to add me on there. On Facebook, I'm Jonny Enoch. And my website currently is metaphysicalsource.com, although I have a new website launching very soon. All in all, keep watching Derrick Whiteskycloud. Like, subscribe, share his videos with your friends. Get one of his amazing readings. Go check out the amazing arts and crafts that he has that are imbued with such a beautiful spiritual energy that they have the ability to raise the vibration of your place and really bring forth this unique, absolute harmonic resonance with not only everything that's around us in the universe and your own creative, unique spirit, but also the ability to bring out your own dance and your own song so that we can keep moving forward to create a beautiful future together.
And again, guys, there's that video. If you want to order one of mine or Johnny's, let Johnny know, or contact the website. This is what mine is. You can see this is the one of the collector series. The volume actually is 1012. That shows you how many people that were there. I mean, actually doing presentations. And Bob Brown's is one heck of a guy. He's been around doing this kind of conferences for 30 plus years.
Yeah, a lot of
30
time.
plus years. He knows a lot of people, this guy. I'm telling you, it's phenomenal. But he's strongly supports some people like me. And I was quite surprised before we finished. I was quite surprised that even Bob was the one that bugged Johnny and said, "Get Derrick down here." Johnny talked about me to Bob. And then, normally the guys will just say, "Well, are you sure?" And the Bob goes, "No, you got to get him here. For some reason, something's bugging Bob, going, no, you got to get Derrick here." So he pushed it, and I finally went, okay. So I did. That's exactly how it works out, folks. They keep pushing and making sure that you do go.
I wasn't sure you were going to be there, Derrick, because there was a moment there when I know because of the state of the world and the way things were, I wasn't sure if you wanted to travel. And then, sure enough, though, you got it. At the time, I think you had to renew your passport. And so you renewed your passport. You said, "I'm coming." And so Bob said, "You get that Derrick over here. We need him here."
Yeah. I renewed my passport because I haven't used it for, oh my God. Well, it actually was expired. So I renewed it. And I was, because sometimes when you renew your passport, they'll say it takes 6 weeks to 6 months. And go like, "No, you're kidding." And I thought, well, how in the heck am I going to get down there? So that's why my wife is the one that made herself sick, thinking I'm not going to be able to go. Like, come on, guys. I mean, that's why my wife was. She was so worried because she really wanted me to get out there and to get to be part of this programming. So I'm really appreciative of it. And anyways, thank you, Johnny, for being part of this program. And I'll let you guys all go.
Thank you, everyone, for watching.
So, guys, we're leaving you and loving you, and you guys be good to each other. The song here that I have here, I've been using is every time I program, and this is in honor of the late John Lennon. He actually himself was in spirit, and he actually sent this writing song in words to two individuals. One guy who actually had the right to sing his song, the sound that sung like him. The other person who actually had lived in India and played a sitar. Once they put this words and song together, this is what they have. And the song is called Peace. So I've carried this on for many years. Guys, be good to each other.
Gonna stop time. Isn't it time? Gonna stop crying. Stop the fighting and the hate. We gotta make peace before it's too late. There's one sea, one sky, one earth. So you and I gotta learn to live together. With one heart, with one deed.